God is so good. Amen? All right, let's hold our Bible. Make our confession this morning. Say it. You mean it to him like you say it. This is the Word of God. I have what it says I have. I can be what it says I can be. And I can do what it says I can do. My mind is alert. My heart is receptive. I'm a winner. Not a whiner. I'm a doer. Not just a hearer. I said I'm a doer. Not just a hearer. In Jesus' name. Again, the Bible says we're all part of the body of Christ. So turn to somebody behind you, next to you, and say, thank God you brought the rest of my body this morning.
Thank you.
Now turn to somebody and say, God loves you and so do I.
God loves you and so do I.
God loves you.
Praise the Lord. Now, if you will, want you to turn with me and start off with, turn to Proverbs chapter 4. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 20. And if you turn there, the Bible says, Mary Heart does good like medicine, so I got you some medicine this morning. Remember, these are just human stories, so please don't be offended. John, Sam, and Abe, three retired friends, would get together every night, rain or shine, to play poker. It was a nice way to pass the time, and men enjoyed it immensely. John's wife was so fond of her husband, wasn't so fond of her husband's poker playing. And she thought it was a dirty and low way to fill his time, but she had long ago resigned herself to her sorry fate. Although inside of her there was always a low flame on the back burner waiting to erupt. On Wednesday night, after a few nights of boring games, something exciting happened. Sam watched in amusement as John and Abe, each convinced that they had the better hand, slowly put their life savings into the pot. Things started to get really intense when John, running out of available cash, added his car and his house into his pot. When there was no money left to bet on, they each showed their cards. As soon as John saw Abe's card and realized he had lost, he had a heart attack and died. Sam asked Abe, how are we going to tell his wife? Don't worry, I'll take care of it, Abe said. Abe knocked on John's door. John just lost all your life savings in a poker game, said Sam when the door was open. He's afraid to come home. John's wife was fuming. He did what? She screamed. Tell him I don't want to ever see his face again. Tell him just to drop dead. Okay, said Sam, nodding his head. I'll tell him just that. A guy joins a monastery and takes a vow of silence. He's allowed to say 2 words every 7 years. After the first 7 years, the elders bring him in and ask for his 2 words. Cold floors, he says. They nod and send him away. 7 more years pass. They bring him back in and ask for his 2 words. He clears his throat and says, bad food. They nod and they send him away. 7 more years pass. They bring in for his 2 words. I quit, he says. Well, that's not surprising, the elder says. You've done nothing but complain since you got here. All right, last one. This is a prayer for the stressed. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I cannot accept, and the wisdom to hide the bodies of those I had to kill today because they got on my nerves. Also, help me to be careful of the toes I step on today, as they may be connected to the feet that I may have to kiss tomorrow. Help me always to work 100%. 12% on Monday, 23% on Tuesday, 40% on Wednesday, 20% on Thursday, and 5% on Friday.
Amen.
And help me to remember when I'm having a bad day and it seems that people are trying to wind me up, that it takes 42 muscles to frown, 28 muscles to smile, and only 4 to extend my arm and smack you in the mouth. All right, a little bit this morning. Proverbs 4, verse 20 says, my son, attend to my words, incline thy ear to my sayings. Tell somebody he's talking to you. Let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of their heart. For they are life to those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Another translation said they are medicine to our flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Amen. Church, the Word of God is medicine. Some of us, we need some medicine this morning.
Amen.
Especially when we're talking about what we're talking about this morning, we need some medicine. So your medicine, your help, is in the Word of God.
Amen.
And sometimes we look everywhere else, but going to the source of where we need to go to find the answers that we need. Amen? Okay, I want you to turn with me now to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Verse 7. I'm going to read this to you from the Living Translation. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. So, but this precious treasure, this light and power that now shine within us is held in perishable containers, that is our weak bodies. Everyone can see that the glorious power within us must be from God and not our own. We are pressed on every side by troubles, but not crushed and broken. We are perplexed because we don't know why things happen as they do, but we don't give up and quit. We are hunted down, but never abandoned. God never abandons us. We get knocked down, but we get up again and keep on going.
Amen.
Church, this morning I want to talk to you about stress. Some of you feel like the person we identified here in Scripture. You feel like you've been knocked down, knocked around, pressed on every side. You don't understand why the things are happening. You get knocked down, but you keep getting back up. Amen?
Hallelujah.
You know, a woman took her husband to the doctor's office, and after his checkup, the doctor said, your husband's suffering from a very serious infection brought on by stress. The husband was hard of hearing and said, what did he say? His wife answered, he says, you're sick. The doctor went on, but there is hope. You need to reduce his stress. Each morning, give him a healthy breakfast. Be pleasant, nice, and kind. And for lunch and dinner, make him his favorite meal. Don't discuss your problem with him. It'll only make his stress worse. Don't yell at him or argue with him. And most importantly, just cater to his every whim. Now, I'm not a doctor like that. If you can do this for your husband for the next 6 months to a year, your husband will have a complete recovery. The husband said, what did he say? His wife said, you're going to die. Stress, church. It can take a toll on us physically. In the 1900s, the top 10 killers were infectious disease. By the turn of the 21st century, the top 10 killers were all related to stress. There are 4 major stresses everybody faces in life. Relationships, finances, work, and health concerns. The fact is, every person has stress in their life. I've got it, you got it. We've all got it. But chronic stress can take a physical toll on you. David Stoop in his book Self-Talk says stress causes 40 million people to suffer from allergies. 30 million people suffer from sleeplessness. 25 million from hypertension and 20 million from ulcers. Are you stressed? Well, let's see if any of these things apply to you. Decision making is difficult, both major and minor decisions. Okay? You have excessive daydreaming or fantasizing about getting away from it all. You see yourself increased use of cigarettes or alcohol. We try to find relief in anything, don't we? You see yourself increased use of tranquilizers. Well, our society is, we won't even go there. Your thoughts trail off while you're speaking or writing. You can't stay focused. You have excessive worrying. Church, I've said this many times, and we're all guilty of worrying, but it doesn't do you any good at all. I say it's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere.
Amen.
If we spend more time believing God instead of worrying, you might see your situation turn around. Amen?
Hallelujah.
Someone who's stressed sometimes has sudden outbursts of anger or hostility. Someone that's stressed has paranoid ideas and mistrust of friends and family.
Amen.
Someone who is stressed has forgetfulness for appointments, deadlines, and dates. Someone who is stressed has frequent spells of brooding and feeling of inadequacy. And sometimes, church, we're our own worst enemy when it comes to stress.
Amen.
The fact is, much of our stress is unnecessary. Take worry, for example. Did you know that 40% of what we worry about never happens?
Amen.
And you just spent that much time wasted for nothing.
Amen.
30% is about old decisions that cannot be changed.
Yes.
23% centers on criticism made by other people. You ever get stressed out because of what somebody else said?
Amen.
And 10% are health related, which only worsens our health. The more you worry about it, the worse it's going to become.
Praise God.
Only 8% of what we worry about are legitimate problems that we need to deal with. And the longer we carry those worries, the greater the toll it takes on us. Amen?
Yes.
Give you an example. Take this water, this glass of water. How heavy do you think this water is? It's not very heavy, is it? But the thing is, church, it's not the weight that matters. It depends on how long I try to hold it. If I hold it for a minute, that's not a problem. If I hold it for an hour, I'm going to have an ache in my arm. If I hold it for a day, you're going to have to call an ambulance. Amen?
Amen.
In each case, church, it's the same weight. But the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes.
Amen.
And that's the way stress is, church. If we carry our burdens all the time, sooner or later, that burden is going to become increasingly heavy and we won't be able to carry it. Amen?
Amen. Praise God.
And what does God tell us to do? He said we're supposed to cast our cares over on Him.
Hallelujah.
And a lot of us, we do that. Lord, I can't deal with this no more. I'm at my rope's end. I don't know what else to do with this situation. I give it to you.
Amen.
Oh, I feel so much better. I gave it to God.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
And then God didn't move quick enough. Then I go back over and I take it away from God.
Amen.
And we're like, God, why aren't you moving? And God's looking down and saying, because I don't have it no more. You took it away from me. Amen. How we respond to stress in our lives is not only important physically, but it's also important spiritually.
Amen.
It influences our relationship to God. And literally can become part of our witness and living proof of the power of the resurrection in our life, or whether we have that power or not. People are watching how you react to things in your life.
Amen.
When you find yourself stressed out, do you act like the world, or do you act like a Christian's supposed to act?
Come on.
People are watching you, church. I love this story of a man. He was being tailgated by a stressed out woman on a busy boulevard. And suddenly the light turned yellow. And so he stopped at the crosswalk, even though he could have beaten the red light by speeding through the intersection. The tailgating woman was furious. She honked her horn. She screamed in frustration, dropping her cell phone and her makeup. And as she was still in mid-rant, she heard a tap on her window and looked up and saw a very serious police officer. The officer ordered her to exit her car, arrested her, and then placed her in a holding cell. After a couple hours, she was escorted back to the booking desk where the arresting officer was waiting with her personal effects. He said, I'm very sorry for this mistake. You see, I pulled up behind your car while you were blowing your horn, making those gestures and cussing a blue streak at him, and I noticed the What Would Jesus Do bumper sticker, and followed me the Sunday School bumper sticker, and the chrome-plated Christian fish emblem on the trunk, so naturally I assumed you stole the car. People are watching you.
Amen.
And sometimes we're the only gospel somebody's going to read.
Amen.
They may never walk through those doors, they never open a Bible, but they're going to look at your life.
Yep.
This pastor said he was in the gym a few months ago and he was talking to an acquaintance and he got to sharing about their lives. And he said, I shared about my in-laws who live with us. One of them has stage 4 cancer. The other has dementia. And a son who's struggling with deep depression. And then he told him about all the struggles he was having with the church. And there was a long pause and the man said, wow, you carry your struggles well. I would have never known. And that's when he said I had the opportunity to share that it was because of my faith and the power of the resurrection that I was able to weather the stresses in my life. Some of you, amen, give God praise. Some of you will never know what all you're going through because you allow God to help you, to strengthen you, to encourage you. You look good on the outside. You maybe have all kinds of things going on in your life, but you look good on the outside. Why? Because you're trusting God. You're not trusting you. You're not trusting somebody else. You're not leaning on the heart of flesh, but you're trusting Almighty God. Amen? So how do we deal effectively with stress? People try all kinds of things to cope with stress. Try meditation, they try yoga, aerobic exercise, deep breathing, visualization, biofeedback, diet, time management. And all these churches are well and good, and they can have some beneficial effects on stress, but the problem is they don't get to the root cause.
Amen.
You've heard me say this many times. So many times we deal with the manifestations in our life, the symptoms, but we don't go to the root. And if you've ever had weeds growing in your yard, you can cut it off at the top, but guess what? That weed's going to come back unless you go get the root. Amen? Amen? Listen to this. Stress really isn't caused by our circumstances. I don't believe that. But rather by our response to those circumstances. And that is driven by our beliefs. So the goal isn't to change our circumstances, but change the way we perceive and respond to the circumstances through faith. When you're facing this situation or circumstance, what do you really believe? God. Do you believe He's the Almighty God? The God that can supply all our needs according to His riches and glory by Christ Jesus? Do you believe He's the God that said by Jesus' stripes we were healed? Do you believe He's the God that says greater is He that's in you than He that's in the world? And if we do, then we're going to respond differently to circumstances in our life.
That's right.
It's so easy to get so caught up in circumstances. Amen?
Amen.
Jesus doesn't want us to get stressed out. He said, I have come that they might have life and have it abundantly. John 10:10 says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid.
Amen.
Now, Jesus said, I'll let you some peace.
Yes.
In fact, He said, I left you my peace.
Amen.
You know, Jesus had a lot of peace. The storms were happening around His life and all kinds of, He laid down much sleep. He wasn't worried about it. But He said, I leave you my peace. He said, my peace I give to you. The problem is, it's like a gift. He gives it to you, but you've got to receive it, church. There's a lot of us not receiving that kind of peace. We're not letting God give us our peace. We're so busy and we're so used to worrying about things and stressing about things and just getting all upset about things that we don't know how to relax and listen to God and do what God tells us to do and receive the peace that He wants to give you. Amen? He told us, do not let. He didn't say He was going to do it for us. He told us, do not let your hearts be troubled. Amen?
Amen.
We have to do that. And if you've got the Word of God in there and the Holy Spirit can control your life, then you're not going to stress out like the world's doing. You're going to be different. People are going to look at you and say, how can you have peace when I know you're going through hell? Because I have a peace that passes all understanding because God gave it to me. Amen? In the book of Philippians, Paul gives us 5 keys to dealing with stress. Number 1, change your perspective. It's so easy to get mired down our circumstances, preventing us from seeing things from God's perspective. When Peter was in the boat, and everybody always gets on Peter's case because he stepped out of the boat and sank. When Peter was in the boat, and Jesus told him to come, he stepped out on the water, church. He was doing the impossible. I don't know about you, but I haven't walked in on any water lately. Okay? He did the impossible. And as long as he had his eyes focused on Jesus, he continued to do the impossible. But the moment that you try to do something for God, the devil is going to create a storm. Because the wind began to roar and the waves began to go. And what happened? Peter quit looking at Jesus and began to When he began to look at the storm, what happened? He began to sink.
Hallelujah.
He quit seeing things through God's perspective, church. You've got to make sure you're looking at the big picture. Sometimes we've got tunnel vision. All we can see is our problem, our situation, our circumstances. But you've got to look at the big picture. That's how God sees things. We just want God to take us out of this. God, just fix it. Just make it right. God says, I want to do all that, but I want to bring glory to me when I do it. Amen? We need to remember that our life is only one frame of an entire movie or history. What you and I are going through at this moment is just that, a moment in time. It shall pass. Oh, I don't know, I've been going through this a long time. Then you need to get before God and find out, Lord, what have I not learned? What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to teach me? Where have I missed it? Amen? Philippians 3:12 says, I have not reached my goal. I am not perfect. But listen to this. But Christ has taken hold of me. Church, Christ wants to take a hold of some people. Amen? God wants to get in your business. He wants to get in your life. He wants to take control of your life. He wants to lead you and guide you. He knows the beginning from the end, church. He knows what's going to happen tomorrow. If you let the Holy Spirit lead you and guide you, you won't have to deal with half the stuff we have to deal with. Most of the time we think we're smarter than God, and God tells us to go this direction. We think, no, I'm going to go that direction. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a problem, and we're saying, oh, God, I need some help. Well, God said right here, I want to get a hold of you this morning. Somebody ought to shout my heart. That ought to make you get excited this morning. God wants a hold of your life. Amen? Well, He's got my life. He's got this part, and I told him, don't mess with this over here. God wants to be Lord of all, church. He's not Lord at all. Amen? Because as long as we got a part of our life, we're going to mess it up. I know I do. Woo. Praise God. I don't know about y'all, but that got me excited. If I could run, I'd probably take off running. And you look at these first two statements in this passage, and they're pretty negative. They sound as Paul is down on himself. And then he says, but. Then he focuses on Christ. He says, but He has taken hold of him. And now He allows me to see life from a different perspective. I don't know about you, before I found God in my life, I looked at life a whole different way. You know? And when Jesus came into my life, when He took a hold of me, and that little Pentecostal church was over there, I walked in that church with my head down, feeling so unworthy. Like, no way God can forgive me for all the stuff I've done. And then God forgave me. And He lifted those weights off my life. And He changed me and transformed me. And I had a different perspective. Life was good again. Life meant something again. I told you this story. I went out to a little convenience store out here, a little Sefco store. And I had this big smile, and I was just so high and so happy in God. And these people looked at me like, yeah, you're high on something. Amen. He allows you to see things from His perspective. Is God really in control of your life? If He is, then what are we worried about? What are we stressed about?
Exactly.
Amen?
Amen.
Praise the Lord. Paul says, if I look through my own eyes, I'd be discouraged and frustrated. But instead, Christ has taken a hold of me. Allow me to see things from His perspective. Church, there's a sovereign God over us. He has a sustaining grace beneath us. So make sure you look at your situation, your circumstances through God's perspective. Number 2, slow down. Our society has continued to increase the pace of life and change. Technology was supposed to give us more leisure time. Instead, our work week has only increased over the last century to an average of 47 hours a week. And now, thanks to technology, we're always connected to our work. Everywhere you go, you can take it with you. We need to step off the treadmill of life. which only seems to be going faster and faster, and slow down. Making sure we have some time. Time to enjoy ourselves. Time for prayer. Time for reflection. Time for friendship. Time for rest.
Amen.
Because some of us are crying, oh God, I need you to heal my body. And God's telling you, you need to rest that body. I can heal you, but if you continue the pace you're going to find yourself right back where you was at. Amen. We need to slow down. We need to enjoy the important things in life. That's why I say after 45 years of painting and 28 years of pastoring, I'm actually going to be able to have time to spend with my kids, my grandkids, my daughter, my church, my job. And sometimes, church, it's not easy to slow down. The bills keep on coming. The debtors keep knocking on the door. But God said, seek ye first. Put Him first. And He said, all these things that you have need of shall be added unto you. I can say that. God says that. Number 3, be thankful. Philippians 4:11-12 says, I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I have learned. Paul learned, church. Sometimes you got to go through some stuff. He said, I've learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. He said, I know what it's like not to have nothing. And I know what it is that I have a lot. He said, I know what it is to have plenty. But I've learned the secret of being content in and every situation. Whether well-fed or hungry. Whether living in plenty or in want. Church, some of us need to learn what Paul learned. So many times we're complaining to God about what He's not doing in our lives instead of thanking God for what He's already done. And sometimes we're asking God to do something else in our life, but we haven't done what God told us to do in the first place. And God's not going to tell you something else until you go back and do what He's supposed to do in the first place. Amen. Glory. Paul wasn't born satisfied with what he had. He had to learn to be satisfied. And sometimes it's easy to think we live in a thankless society. People are not nearly as thankful or grateful of what they have as they should be. Steve Shepard writes about his friend Ruben Casas, a pastor in Los Angeles, who makes $25,000 a year, and that's in California. He said, we drive a used car. We don't eat out. We don't buy new clothes, and we understand why. Most of us make more than Reuben does, but he's grateful for everything he has. He says it's still better than where I came from. Most of us can say that, but we don't. Most of us can be more thankful for what we have, but we aren't. And as long as we're not thankful, we'll always want more. You know, I don't want to get into politics, but like this actor, he made probably $100,000 per episode, and he got greedy. And look what it cost him. He wasn't satisfied. A lot of people be satisfied to be making that kind of money, to have that kind of popularity. We always want more. Gratitude is the attitude that makes all the difference. It changes our relationship to God, and it changes our relationship to one another. I'm thankful that you're here this morning. I appreciate you being here this morning. God, thank you that you're here this morning. But when we have that gratitude, church, it makes us humble, and it helps keep us from being selfish. Most of all, it makes us content. I want to read a story to you. Most of you probably already know about it, but I thought this really touched. A New York couple married for more than 70 years died just a day apart from one another. Joan Chappell, 87, died Sunday, and her husband, Warren Chappell, 93, died Monday. Joan Chappell suffered from Alzheimer's for years. She moved into a nursing home 7 years ago after her Alzheimer's progressively worsened, where her husband would visit her every day. And the Times Union reported every day for the last 2 years, Warren Chappell would drive 10 miles to feed his wife breakfast and sit with her, then return home. Hours later, he would make the 10-mile drive once more to feed his wife dinner and sit with her for 3 hours until she went to bed. Warren Chappell suffered from esophageal cancer, which progressively worsened toward the end of January. January 28th was the last time he was able to visit his wife, who died Sunday. Warren Chappell asked his son Mark about his wife's condition after she passed. "She's gone," said Mark. "You can go now." Warren Chappell died on Monday, just a day after his wife passed. Scientific studies show widowhood effect is strongest 3 months after a person's spouse dies. Meaning couples can often feel stress or grief that cause them to get sick and they can die. According to the University of Michigan Health Retirement Study, couples have a 66% greater chance of dying within 3 months of a spouse's death. A number of factors can contribute to a couple's death, but stress and grief can cause a spouse to literally die of a broken heart. It's unclear if this couple, knowing about one another, caused their death, but the couple's family spoke of their love and their undeniable connection. "He lived for my mother," the son said. "He kept her alive with that love." Church, after 7 decades of marriage, that couple gave a new meaning to the vow, "Until death do us part." Amen. 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 Essentially, what we're saying is that you need to retrain your mind how you think of your life and your circumstances. Maybe life didn't turn out like you had hoped it would. Maybe everything didn't fall into place like you wanted it to. But your life's not over.
Amen.
And God's still on the throne.
Amen.
He's still in control.
Hallelujah.
And you'll give him his life. He'll take that mess and he'll turn around and make a success of it. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. The mindset that we hold is a choice we make. Paul puts it this way: "Finally, my dear brothers, keep your minds on whatever is true, whatever is pure, what's holy, what's friendly, and what's proper. Don't ever stop thinking about what is truly worthwhile and what's worthy of praise." Philippians 4:8 says, "Your attitude about your life makes all the difference."
Yes.
Church, is not what you're involved in right now. It's how you deal with it, how you respond to
Yes.
it.
Hallelujah.
How many know who Zig Ziglar is?
Yeah.
He tells the story of his brother Jed. They grew up poor, and Jed's mother would come into the bedroom early at 5 a.m. to wake him up. His job was to get the coal each morning, put in the furnace, and start a fire in the house. He hated that job. And every morning his mother would walk in and say, "Jed, this is going to be a great day." He'd get up, get the coal, and he'd do his chores. But one day his mother walked in and he just looked at her. It was cold. He was tired. He said, "No, Mom, this is going to be an awful day. I'm tired. I'm sleepy and it's cold and I don't want to get up." His mother replied, "I didn't realize you thought that way." "Well, okay, if that's the way you feel, go back to bed and sleep." He got under the covers and thought, "Why didn't I think about this before?" He slept a couple more hours, woke up just before 9 a.m. The house was warm. His mom was cooking breakfast. He said to her, "This is wonderful. I'm so hungry." She said, "Oh, sweetheart, you don't get any breakfast today. When I walked in your room this morning, you said it was going to be an awful day, so I decided I'm going to do my best to make it an awful day."
Amen.
His mother sent him back to bed. He slept for another hour. By noon, he was starving. And by dinner, it was the longest day of his life. That night, he couldn't sleep, so he stayed up all night. At 5 a.m., he was dressed and waiting for his mom to walk in. He threw his arms around her and said, "Mom, it's going to be a great day today." Your attitude makes all the difference. Amen. Number 4, serve others. Jesus made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant.
Amen.
She was talking about this morning, Janelle was talking about her Bible study this morning. When you get busy taking care of somebody else, and you get involved in their situation, you begin to pray for somebody else, pray for somebody else's kid, pray for somebody else's finance, pray for somebody else's healing. Watch God begin to move in your situation. Amen. For one thing, it helps God because it helps get your hands off of your situation. And you get involved over here praying for somebody else, then God has free reign to do what He wants to do. Amen. Philippians 2:7 says, "By focusing on others, we can relieve our stress." Psychology Today found in a study that of 1,700 women who were under a great deal of stress and volunteered for a service project, 85% had their stress significantly lowered within 30 days. Just get involved with somebody else. Why? Because they focused on somebody else. Dr. Richard Carlson, in his book, Make Service an Integral Part of Your Life, writes, "I've learned that the best way to be of service is often very simple. It's those quiet, often unnoticed acts of kindness that I can choose on a daily basis.
Amen.
It's not the big things, church. It's the little things that we can do that make a difference. Amen?
Amen.
Being supportive of your husband or your wife. Simply taking time, some time and the energy just to listen to what they say.
Amen.
Joy and I'm still working on that part. She'll be talking to me. And before I had the business stuff, I'd have about 5 other things going on over here. So I'd have one ear tuned to her, and the rest of it I'd be listening to my mind, what's going on, what's happening over here. And she'll look at me and say, "You ain't heard a word I said." Well, I did catch some of it.
She needs to stand on the left against the right.
And church, like I said, I know I got a long way to go to becoming more of a selfless person. But I know as I attempt to make that part of my life, I feel better.
Yes. Amen.
I feel better about the way I choose to live. There's an ancient saying, giving is its own reward. And that's true. When you give, you also receive.
Amen.
In fact, what you receive is directly proportional to what you give. As you give more freely of yourself in your own unique ways, you will experience more feelings of peace than you ever thought possible. Everybody wins. Amen?
Amen.
Especially you.
Amen.
So many times the devil wants to keep you so focused on you, your problems, your situation, that you don't have time for anybody. God never meant for it to be that way. He didn't mean for us to come in these doors and these 4 walls and keep everything here, church. He meant for us to come in here, to learn, to grow, to mature, and go out there and come to other people. We got to carry the church to the world. The world's not going to come to church. We got to take the church to the world. Amen? Number 5, and I'm almost through for those watching the clock. Number 5, and this is a biggie. Give it over to God.
Amen.
Philippians 4, 6, and 7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus." What did he say? "Oh, Sister Dill's going through this problem. She needs to go over here and tell Jean." No. He said, when you're going through something, take it to God. A lot of times we take stuff to other people. They're going to tell you the best of their ability of their own experiences. And some of their experiences might not be positive. Amen? So instead of taking it to somebody else, and I'm not telling you not to take some things to people and have them pray with you and agree with you, but take it to God first. Okay? And once you take it to Him, begin to thank Him. Do you believe He heard you? The Word says, if we pray according to His will, that we have the petitions desired of Him. Amen? So if we believe He's heard us, then once we take it to Him, then we begin to thank God for it. So many times, well, I took it to God, and I'm still walking the floor. Man, I wonder if God's going to do it. I wonder if God's going to hear me. I wonder if God's going to move in this situation. That's no faith, church. If I really believe He heard me and I take it to Him, then I would say, God, I thank you. It's not my problem no more. It's not my situation. It's your situation. It's in your hands. I'm trusting you. Amen. The population of this country is around 200 million or so. 84 million are retired. That leaves 116 million to do the work. There are 75 million in school, which leaves 41 million to do the work. Of this total, there are 22 million employed by the federal government. That leaves 19 million to do the work. 4 million are in the armed forces, which leaves 15 million to do the work. Take from that total the 14.8 million who work for state and city government, that leaves 200,000 to do the work. There are 188,000 people in the hospital at any given time, leaving 12,000 to do the work. Currently, there are 11,998 people in jail. That only leaves just 2 people to do the work, you and me. And you're just sitting there listening. No wonder I'm tired and stressed. Amen? When you and I are under a great deal of stress, we need to spend time with God, church. Why is it we run everywhere else instead of spending time with God? Get alone and listen to that still small voice. Get alone and know that He's God.
Yes.
He says He wants to order our steps. He wants to lead us and guide us.
Yes.
And that's what Jesus did the night before He was crucified. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane, loaded down with stress, and He prayed.
Yes. Amen.
And that was where the battle was won.
Yes.
You may have thought it was on Golgotha on the cross. It wasn't. It was in the garden that He made His decision to die for you
Yes.
and me.
Thank you, Jesus.
It's through that prayer that Christ gives us strength to face anything, church. So bring your burdens, your worries, and your stress and give it over to Him.
Amen.
Remember Jesus' invitation. He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest.
Yes.
Take my yoke upon and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul." Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotion. You ever gone to sleep at night and you lay down and your mind just runs 100 miles an hour and you can't sleep? You like you wish you had a button, you could just turn it off and you can't.
Right.
Well, He said here, "Come to me.
Yes.
Get yoked up with me. Let me help you carry this.
Amen.
Learn from me. Learn how I do things. Learn my ways.
Yes.
Learn how my kingdom operates."
Hallelujah.
And He said, then you'll find rest for your soul.
Yes, God. Thank you.
Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Lord.
Bless the Lord.
When you and I try to handle stress on our own, church, the burden becomes too heavy to bear.
Amen.
Two business executives met for lunch. Gene asked, "How's your health?" Ed said, "I feel great. My ulcers are gone. I don't have a care in the world." Gene says, "How'd you do that?" Ed said, "Well, you know, my doctor told me my ulcers were caused from stress and worrying, so I hired myself a professional worrier. Whenever something goes worse and comes up, I turn it over to him. He does all my worrying for me." Gene said, "Wow, I'd like to hire a person like that. How much does he charge?" Ed says, $100,000. Gene asked, "How in the world can you afford $100,000? Ed said, "I don't know. I'll let him worry about it." Church, you and I have got somebody who'll carry our burden. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
His name is Jesus.
Amen.
And absolutely nothing is too much for Him.
Praise God.
He's just waiting for you. He's not going to take it away from you. You've got to give it to Him.
Amen.
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 I told him Wednesday night, God's not going to drag you to heaven kicking and screaming.
No, He's not.
He invites you. And it's up to you to make the right choice.
Thank you.
I want to read this and I'm closing on this, I promise you. One day Samson encountered a lion and slew it. The Bible says sometime later, when he went back, he turned aside to look at the lion's carcass. And he saw some honey. He scooped out the honey with his hand and ate as he went along. There's a lesson here for you and I. When you take time to stop and reflect, you discover honey in your experiences that you can eat and grow stronger and wiser. When you reflect, you're able to put things in perspective. You gain a new appreciation for things you didn't notice before. Few of us have clear perspective in the heat of the moment. Most of us who have survived traumatic experience usually avoid similar situations at all costs. This can leave us with unresolved issues that leave us tied up in knots. Reflective thinking enables you to distance yourself from the intense emotions of an experience and see it with fresh eyes. Sometimes we just need to step back, church, and look at it. Indeed, this process is one of the first steps in getting rid of our emotional baggage. President George Washington observed, "We ought not look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from our past errors and for the purpose of profiting by dearly bought experience." Each of us has been shaped by the experiences, good and bad, that we've had in life. What we refuse to deal with deals with us, and often in harmful ways. We act out our unresolved issues, but when we bring them into the light, ask God for the grace to face them squarely, they lose their power.
Amen.
Amen. Give God praise and glory. I hope that encouraged you this morning. I hope that you remember what the Holy Spirit's saying to you this week when the devil tries to stress you out.
Praise God.
Don't handle it the way you used to handle it. Used to, when we got stressed, we go find something to get high on, or get drunk on, and pop a few pills, or whatever. God says, "Come to me.
Hallelujah.
Bring it to me. I care about you. I care about what you're going through." Do you not care what your kids are going through? Even if they're a mess, don't you care what your kids are going through? Well, guess what? Some of us were a mess, but God still cares about what we're going through. Amen? You'll stand, please.